Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Metaworld News. We are sort of running multiple instances of YouTube in the background here to check that we're actually live this week, and I'm pleased to say that we do appear to be. Wonders will never cease, I guess.
I hope so.
Yes, it's a countdown there saying 40 seconds in, and James's camera is now zooming in on me. I don't normally look at it as it's happening, so I better resist commenting as we go, hadn't I?
uh,
Anyway, yes. Um, Sorry, James?
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I was saying, yeah. Don't talk about the camera person, or he'll get confused.
yeah. But it's not the only one.
Right,
I'll
right.
get confused too. Yes, indeed. Anyway, well, I'm turning back to look at the world now before I move on to my news, so to speak. Yeah, we're about to hit you with the news headlines for the week ending. Yes, ending the 18th of. No, that's yes. I remember the 18. What month? Yeah, October. Yeah, right. 18th of October, 2020. Why I did remember the date,
That's
sort of
good.
thing.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I got half of it right. Okay. Anyway, yes, my name is Mal Burns. MAL, one word. BURNS, another word. But on Twitter and the web generally, you find that they do this horrible thing, which is squash me. So if you go to Twitter, you've got twitter.com/ and then MALBURNS all squashed together as one word, which it should not be. But on the web, it is. So what can one do? Anyway, I tell you that, twitter.com/malbones, because that is where you will find a feed full of all the links I put up every day throughout the week. There's an additional feed actually for the show, which is twitter.com/metaworld news. They've done a squash job on that too. And that's more about social virtual worlds and fairly sparse compared to my main feed, as it were. Anyway, we will proceed with that as we go. I will also be sharing my screen with you with various web pages or that I'm talking about and reading out the Earls. If you miss one of them, simply go to that Twitter feed and look up the Earl, and following the link from Twitter will take you directly to the page where the article is, just in case you need it. Okay, now before we really start, I better introduce this chap next to me. His name is James Atloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, hello, Mal. I'm trying to anticipate what camera to go to next.
Right, well, you can go to you now
I'm here.
for a
Yep.
brief second.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, now James is he talks from time to time, believe it or not, which is very nice. But he's also running multiple cameras, like my avatar here with its lips moving, and relaying the screencast I'm sending him of my desktop, and all sorts of other strange things. Occasionally, he drops some video into it, and tots it all up for us. And the bit underneath where it says things, that's all him too. So tarting everything up live and direct, as it were.
Do what we
Anyway,
can, right?
so that's me, Mal Burns, and that's him, James Out Loud. And we are, oh, well,
VR?
that's it, isn't it?
We are
We are,
VR?
yeah. We got VR, we got XR, we got AR, we got RR probably, MR, there's another one. But
Hmm.
here, it's simply a case of we are indeed. Metaworld News! Here we go. Right, spinning around on my chair to see what we've got going here. Now, the first link I've got up for you today, James will no doubt show you my screen very shortly.
Hmm.
Oh, well, that didn't work, did
Oh
it?
my,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, let's start that little behavior again. I actually lost the. Okay,
Oh.
this is actually a site called Lab Manager. We're going to get there in a minute. Here we are. It's now loaded. labmanager.com. A new site for us. This is not one we use very often. I just need to tweak our little window there. It's slightly off position. There we are. Right. Universal law of touch will enable new advances in virtuality. This is dated October the 13th, as you can probably see, but it actually is it's one of the two, I think, this week that have literally just arrived. In other words, it's what is it, 5 days late, but it's been posted. The results of this research are in something called Science Advances. So if you go here to labmanager.com, you'll be able to click on that link to follow that through too. But it's quite interestingly, Rayleigh waves, whatever they be, researchers think they can use these type of waves to create the first scaling law for touch sensitivity, which of course is quite important in actual VR, where touch is going to become all more important. Seismic waves, commonly associated with earthquakes, have been used by scientists to develop a universal scaling law for the sense of touch. A team led by researchers used Rayleigh waves to create the first scaling law for touch sensitivity. And, well, it then goes on about that. The team discovered that when it comes to touch, waves also travel through layers of skin and bone and are picked up by the body's touch receptor cells. So, we already have earphones, for example, that don't go in your ear anymore. They use bone conduction to put the sound through your body and stuff. I think this is a sort of similar thing, except that well, the sound is a sort of touch, really. I mean, a bass sound on your bone is a bass sound on your bone, isn't it? It's sort of touch. I imagine this is a similar sort of principle. Although obviously the scientist in me that isn't in me, rather, can't really tell you much more than what I read here. But yeah, as I say, you can go to Lab Manager com, and that's basically a press release that you can get from the University of Birmingham website. Um, this is oh yes, this would be the University of Birmingham here in the UK, right?
Hmm.
I think there is a University of Birmingham in the States, but
Yeah, in Alabama.
maybe Alabama or
I,
somewhere.
I,
Yeah.
I, I wouldn't talk about that, but sorry,
Really?
that was some prejudice. No, it's okay.
Oh, right. Well, until about an hour ago, I was watching a new, oh, well, it's only last year, Lynyrd Skynyrd concert that I found on
Oh
YouTube,
yeah, yeah.
filmed in France, and of course, the riff you, well, apart from Freebird, of course, the riff you always know coming is Sweet Home Alabama,
Right, right. Yep.
and the few comments about Neil Young ensuing, but
Right.
they
Countryman,
laugh at
right.
that one, don't they?
City
Yeah,
man.
but yeah, I've learned over the years that there's a place called Birmingham in Alabama as well as the one north of London. So
Right, right.
sweet home Alabama,
I
but
think
they don't mention Birmingham in that. But
isn't Jeff Lynne from ELO from Birmingham? I
he's
think
from
so.
the UK, Birmingham. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
yes, he's a Brummie.
Yeah.
And I grew up. I grew up in a sort of, well, it was like a village that became a town that is probably now a suburb of Birmingham to the south. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I didn't have a Birmingham accent or anything, but the nearest big city was Birmingham. As a kid, when you went Christmas shopping and all that sort of stuff, we got sort of carted off
Oh,
on the
okay.
long on the cranky bus journey into Birmingham. And then, it's like a dog on a chain. You got dragged around all the stores, and then finally got to one where they had an old fat man dressed up as Santa Claus and. Anyway, but all that stuff happened in Birmingham.
Right.
It didn't happen out of the country where we were. Well, where it was country at one point, but I guess it's very strange. From my earliest memories there, it was countryside and
Mm-hmm.
fields,
Hmm.
and our garden went into a field. From my last memories there, which would have been when I was about 17 and left and never went back, it had changed completely. I don't know if it would have been described as a suburb of Birmingham, but it was no longer empty fields and
Yeah.
stuff. Very
Sorry, I took you down
suburbanized.
the rabbit hole. I shouldn't have done that.
You did, didn't
I
you?
did. I
Yes.
did.
I've been rabbit holed again.
Yep.
He's getting good
And
at
it's my
this.
fault. It's my fault this time.
He's getting good at this,
Yep.
folks. He knows just the buttons to press to get me down the rabbit hole. Okay, okay, moving on. So the universal law of touch will hopefully enable new advances in virtual reality. And yeah, you can get University of Birmingham website, or there's a link there you can click on too, by the look of it, that may or may not take us somewhere. Apparently not. Oh, there we are. Oh, right, okay. It's the same format because of the way I've got it set up for you, but this is actually the site with the paper on it, so to speak. Universal scaling law of mammalian touch. Okay, so it's not just
Mm-hmm.
humans; it's going to be critters too, no doubt. Anyway, same thing, but this is the technical side, so to speak. Anyway, I think we've had enough of that. A bit sort of specific for us, really, isn't it? Okay, moving down. As I say, that was the latest thing in today. Um, there's Birmingham. There we are. Right, VR Fitness Insider. Yeah, this one actually goes back to yesterday. So, where are we? Into Safari, I think. Just take a minute to click across, doesn't it? Right, here we go. 360 VR Face is looking to transform your everyday workout machines into VR devices. Now, there are quite a lot of pedal bikes and stuff like that that have meant to work with VR helmets, and some of them have iPad screens and things. They've been configured directly for that kind of thing. This is actually more about this 360 VR Fit people. I actually want to transform your or existing workout devices machines into VR devices. So presumably, if you've got a exercise bike, then they are interested in bringing you the things to attach to it to experience VR. Or same maybe if you've got a treadmill or whatever, not necessarily helmet based. I actually think this is rather a nice picture. That actually certainly looks like she's wearing a augmented reality thing rather than a VR thing. Um, no, can't really see it any better there, can we? So, um, but yeah, that seems to be the general idea anyway. They have a video. Um, might as well have a quick peek at that, see if it's interesting. Well, there you go. Very short video, probably a bit laggy the way it comes from my screen, but the idea is not to give you the video, it's to give you the information.
Yeah, and
Ha
the
ha.
sound was good. That was good.
Oh, yes, yes, I
Yep.
remembered in advance to get the sound up to blasting point. It was already on blasting point, thanks to
mm,
Leonard Skinner, actually,
mm,
but
mm.
I just double checked, double checked that it still had the volume it had earlier.
Very
Right.
good.
Yeah, so they have a Kickstarter page here, so I might as well click on that and see where we get. Or not, as the case may be. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Internet of Things sensor turns the indoor cycle rowing machine, horse riding machine at home into VR equipment, and it looks like it does it without and that. So if you're interested, it seems to be all they want is $10, but that's pledge without a reward. Okay, you can pledge $50. Oh, and that will hopefully get you the sensor in December, which is only a month away, and 5 fitness apps. Hmm, sounds like a bargain if it happens. Okay, however, I will leave that be for the moment. And yeah, let's get back there, close the unnecessary tabs. And yeah, move on down a little bit here. Okay, we've now come to Virtual Reality Reporter. And when we get that open, we will actually find what the link is. I think it's, well, I don't think it's Virtual Reality Reporter per se. How virtual reality would change storytelling and marketing in the next decade, basically. And here we are. Oh, no, I'm right. It's Virtual Reality Reporter. 3 words with a squash job done on them. What else? and then a .com. So virtualrealityreporter.com. I'm sure you can figure out how to spell that without me reading out every letter, because I'm not in the mood.
All right.
Right. Well, it's a long one, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
It's a long one. Yeah, so virtual reality is a technology that can create a simulated environment. Who knew? Who knew? Right. But, well, obviously, this is more of a kind of AR thing they're showing you here. You're looking
Yeah.
through the camera in your iPad to the scene that is in front of you, and you can see the scene there as well as the picture in the camera. What you can't see in any detail is the extra things that you are seeing overlaid on your iPad on top of the camera.
Hmm.
So, like special price sign there probably doesn't exist on that table, although you can't really tell because the hand's in the way. And yeah, it's hard to know. Well, it's hard to know exactly what's there, but obviously where that finger is pointing has got some information. This can be used for all sorts of things. I used to be a very big fan of archaeology type things in Second Life and virtuality. Where you can take anything from a village near Stonehenge to a Roman city that have long since sunk into the ground or been burnt down, or such things happened over a few thousand years. But you can recreate them as virtual environments. There was a wonderful one in Second Life for many years of ancient Rome, and a lot of dedicated people in the form of avatars inhabited it, and it was sort of role playing, but it was very fixed educationally to fact. So there were slaves, there were the people who filled the hot water bars, there were people who did the cleaning and shoveled the and stuff, and everything from the dirtiest down muckiest slave job to the aristocracy and the government, whatever. And they had lots of avatars playing the parts of the whole scope of Roman society, which was fascinating. But that is an expansive thing you can really only do in virtual reality. But with augmented reality, you can sort of combine the two. Imagine you're going to Stonehenge, which is always been one of my choices here. Um, you can look, you can see signs maybe, and you can photograph barcodes or QR codes they are now, aren't they? And that will load a web page that tells you more background information. So the experience of seeing the ruins is no longer, just a matter of standing there saying, "Oh, those are pretty stones. I bet they were heavy to carry." Wish they were.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you can get more information on the spot. And actually, in an ideal situation, you could actually, when you click a QR code, could actually load you into a virtual environment, which is a complete rebuild, recreation of Stonehenge as it would have been in its prime, so to speak, when newly created. And you'll be able to wander around it virtually and compare it. But when it comes to augmented reality, of course, then the virtual reality component may not exist, or it may be a half-built environment that appears as an augmented reality environment on top of your real-world camera view. Um, so although this is very boring, sort of telling you to go and shop, for your clothes off the high street or whatever, that could equally be somewhere you've actually found that you want to explore, and there's no indication there's anything much around. You just start filming it. But as you film it, it can, generate an augmented reality layer, which somebody obviously has had to put there, by the way. But it's not, it doesn't come out of thin air. But that can do the same thing as virtual reality does. In other words, give you more information and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in a sense, you already have it in a, well, it's not really augmented reality, but we have it's something I never knew existed for a long time because I don't drive, but you've got satellite navigation these days. I discovered this about 20 years ago, much to my surprise. Not being a driver, I never knew it existed. But it can warn you if there's a blockage on the road ahead and give you new diversions or something. If that was fully augmented reality, then it could mix in the Google Earth type sort of thing to actually show you enhanced view of where you're going, and warn you about obstacles and things. And it could help protect Britain's double-decker buses, um, of which there have been two incidents recently. A lot of roads have been closed. There have
Mm.
been diversions operating, and when they give you a diversion, double-decker bus drivers should not necessarily take a diversionary route because they try and go under a bridge and the top floor of their bus gets ripped off. And the people on the top floor of the bus, they get a thorough airing, if nothing more, but sometimes more serious. So, yes, imagine your bus driver has an augmented reality kit that prevents him chopping off his roof while you're in it, especially. Anyway, out of the rabbit hole, back
Mm.
to back to the screen. That wasn't really a rabbit hole; it was relevant.
Okay.
Anyway, yes. So, how virtual reality will change storytelling and marketing in the next decade. This is a virtualrealityreporter.com. We have a few links to this site, but most of them are more specific. This is more general. Um, it's got a little video there. Um, I best, I better. Do I resist or do I go for it? No, 6 minutes.
Let's look at four amazing examples of how augmented reality is now used in business to.
Okay, I'm not going to give you 6 minutes of that, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I will repeat the website virtualityreporter.com, and you can go there at your leisure and click on the video yourself. Yes, I'm not going to do all the work for you. Who do you think I am? Right, let's move on down. See what else we got coming up here. Um, okay, yeah, now before you say, yeah, we had that last week. Well, we didn't and did. These are different ones.
Right.
Yep, we had the virtual reality shoes last week. We now got cyber shoes. Well, they're a different thing anyway. A company that makes shoes for translating your real walking into virtual reality environments. They're creating a new wireless version for the Oculus Quest. Previously, the shoes only worked with wired headsets like Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. So, as you can see, they kind of work with a headset. um, let's throw it across to the reading the reading view, shall we say? And yes, that looks a bit neater, doesn't it? Um, Quite simple looking shoes. I mean, that from what well, maybe you can just wear them. They look a bit to me like if you don't wear slippers. We have something in the UK. I think they're called flip flops. They certainly were when I was a kid, and they're basically a base for your foot, and then they got a strap. But they flap. You can trip over when you're wearing them unless you really master the art of keeping them, scrunching your toes to keep them firm and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I would not rate my chances of just slipping something of those on my feet. On the other hand, if they go over shoes and they have adjustments there for keeping them tight and stuff like that, that might be all. But that doesn't that to me is the crucial bit. If you're going to trip over, it's going to be around there, and it doesn't seem to be any real support there. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, you can't tell everything from a photograph. What you can tell, however, from the article is that you need one of them things. And while those things are exclusive to a company beginning with F, and they've been promoted. They went on sale this week, and people have been flocking to buy them, having heard about them. Um, but a lot of people have been convinced they've been sold a doorstop because they can't get it to work. Because when you buy this product and put it in and power it up and everything else to use it, apparently, a lot of people can't use it because they don't have a login for the company that makes it. And you have to have a login for the company that makes it to use it. So you can't just buy it and use it. It doesn't mean anything. Another interesting thing in the week, I don't think I've got a picture for it, but when this device shopped, that's the thing there. Um, while they were shipping and packaging them, they have fake boxes made up so that the shipping agents thought they were, domestic irons for ironing shirts. And then when it came to time to actually release it, they ripped the outer layer of the packaging off to reveal the real picture of the own machine inside. The lengths they will go to keep things secret
Oh
these
yeah,
days.
yeah.
But they didn't just keep it secret; they made sure it wouldn't work for anybody who hasn't got an account with F-book. Yes, the F. You know. I mean, fucker book. The fuckers. Sorry, bad language. Zuckerbergers. Right,
Hmm.
yeah, but that's enough of that. That's enough for that one, I think.
So
Let's move
no,
on.
those shoes. I just wanted to mention, Mal. If you look at the bottom
Mm.
of the overturned shoe, there's actually a little
Yeah,
roller down there, and so
it's
it
like a wee.
it's like a little
Yes.
wheel. Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen children have these sneakers that have wheels in the bottom, and they can go skating down the street, or
Oh,
they can choose to walk in it. So I think that little roller helps with the illusion of walking. You can move the
sure. Or it
move it
could
along
move
the
you quite
floor
fast.
without
Yeah.
without running you
It,
into a wall, right?
yeah. It still doesn't seem to be that much protection near the very front though, which is where I would tend to catch.
Yeah, they look a
You
little
know,
long to me, so I feel like it
yeah,
might be
actually
kind of
they
like a
do, don't
clown
they?
shoe, a really long.
Well, the strap, as it were, that you
Yeah,
see there.
yeah.
Let's get back to the bigger one. There we are. The strap here does seem to be really towards the heel.
I
But on
just
the other
don't
hand,
know. Yeah,
it presumably rotates, so it could be at an angle
yeah,
like I'm doing my mouse or whatever.
yeah.
Hard to know. Hard to know. I
We'll,
mean,
we'll need the video
it's
review. Uh,
yeah, yeah. No, there wasn't a video on this one.
yeah,
Yeah, when we see a video or something, um, uh, fair enough. I think
yeah,
they're comparing it to treadmills
yeah,
down here, like the Omni One.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Sort of. You still get, these occasional things that are like amazingly bright ideas
yeah,
until you
yeah,
actually make them and you realize they didn't do anything. But they didn't do what they hoped they would. But no, best of luck. Best of
yeah,
luck to
yeah,
them. It's you know, um, I suppose when you think of it seems a shame to me that they are. Well, they're not. These the new ones are going to be wireless as opposed to tethered. But it seems a shame that they're going to be dependent on that headset. There are lots of other headsets about, and the feeling in the developer communities at the moment is that they concentrate on making kit, right? Not necessarily open source, but kit that will work with any headset that obeys certain rules. In
yeah,
other words,
yeah,
it's basically a movement to stop a certain company monopolizing not only their own product but all the things that go with it. So best of luck to them actually, because we need kit that works universally amongst lots of manufacturers and lots of devices. So we'll see. Oh, those shoes, by the way, are estimated to have a cost of 375 US dollars, which is um, you might have noticed the circular piece of carpet. That's just to provide a flat surface that's easy for the shoes to roll on, like a mouse pad. Uh, anyway, I'm not gonna stick around with that. I'm gonna scroll on down. Right now, AR Post. Yes, this is. I think this is the AR Postcode site. So, can virtual reality help with depression? Let's click and find out, shall we? Maybe. There we are. Okay. Um, since the 90s, mental health professionals have been using virtual reality to treat post-traumatic stress disorders. Past few years, there's been a growing pool of research showing it's a promising solution for depression too. Um, yep, so the rise of them links to National Institute of Mental Health. All this is USA focused links. Um, exploring new treatments in virtuality, etc., etc. I thought I misread that. Sius is another VR platform aiding mental health. I thought that said pious. Right.
Oh, okay, right.
Misread that one a bit. It wouldn't surprise me if they were. But anyway, you'll find this article at arpost.co. So that's arpost.co, not com, not co.uk, not co.za, just co. arpost.co. And yeah, more about that um, when you get there. Okay. Let's play the another picture. As if you have somebody has to wear all that day while they're in session. Imagine going to a therapist and having to sit for a couple of hours with that thing on. It'd
Hmm.
make you more depressed, wouldn't it? At least it's not an O gadget. It's a different kind of headset, I think. Not an O. Right. A lot of health this week, actually. XR Health announces VR therapy. Um, application to treat ADHD by improving concentration, reducing impulsivity, and increasing attention span. And let's see, this is back at the site we had earlier, virtualrealityreporter.com. So three words there: virtual reality reporter, squashed together, followed by a .com. And yeah, this is more therapy. Um, Now, this is where I get confused. I can't remember what ADHD stands for. It's
Oh,
probably
it's
got
a
a
attention
symbol.
deficit. No,
Oh,
at,
yes, of course.
at
Attention
deficit
deficit.
hyperactive disorder.
Oh, right. Well, no wonder. All I need to do is look in the mirror for that one. Right.
I know the
So,
feeling. Yep.
yeah, exactly. I tend to think of the description rather than the letters, you know.
Yes. Yep.
There's too many. You read these things with letters, and you don't know whether it's an organisation or a symptom or an
Hmm.
airplane,
Hmm.
an
Yep.
aircraft or a phenomenon under sea or a political party. It could be anything. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, this is the cure for ADHD. Cognitive functions such as attention, impulsivity, and higher, more complex thinking functions such as initiating, organizing, planning, and fully executing daily tasks. And yeah, um, I find this is quite funny. I mean, if you're prone to distraction, do they use VR to help you concentrate? Or if you have compulsive concentration, do they use VR to help you get distracted? It's almost like saying, here's a symptom, and we can take both extremes and use the same medicine for both. If you see what I mean.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but I think I brought that up before. We've had a few of these things popping in recently. Anyway, more information at www.xr.health. And as I said, this article's at Virtuality Reporters. So if you get there, you can click on the various links they have on that article too. Right. Before I move on, I'm just going to close some of these screens I've got up so we can uh, move on. Right, moving down. Voices of VR podcast. Well, I can tell you where this is. It's voicesofvr.com, or one word. This one, let's see. This is 2 days ago. I think I've got two from them this week. There may have been more because they do some podcasts I didn't bother linking to because they're just slightly off the mainstream of my thinking, if you see what I mean, for
Mm.
VR wise, anyway. Anyway, this one's about a Stanford study. As I said, voicesofvr.com. Three words squashed together there: VOICESOFVR.com. And this shows that tracked VR data can be identifiable. Yeah, raising issues here. Um, I bet this has the Zuckerberg jumping up and down and citing, "Gosh, I can track everything in my IO headset and spy on everybody and rule the world." Um, this is not an advert for that. This is from Stanford University, of course, and published an important research paper that shows how motion track data in VR could be or can be identifiable for specific users. They have a paper titled Personal Identifiability of User Tracking Data During Observation of 360-degree VR Video. So, next time you log into YouTube and decide to look at the 3D one that you can walk around in, do bear in mind that they're following you. I imagine it's the sort of online equivalent of going for a walk in the park with a drone over your head that won't leave you alone. Bit like a, you know, wasp that just loves your smell and won't go away. Bit like that, sort of. Right. Anyway, Voices of VR, Kent by, of course, had the chance to catch up with Mark Roman Miller, who's one of the authors of this scientific report. And the podcast basically summarized the major findings. And as you can see, you can click here if you're on the website to actually listen to Voices of VR. You can also get Voices of VR, just remember the name, not only at voicesvr.com, but you can pick it up as you can get all the episodes in things like iTunes, Spotify, anywhere basically that gives you podcasts. It's an open podcast, so you should find it on every whatever platform you personally might have, so to speak. All right, back here. Scrolling down a bit further. Okay. Oh, this was sort of interesting. This is I'm very apprehensive when I hear about this real world star is going to do this thing in VR and whatever, um, or going to do an enhanced gig of some sort. We're still not at the point where, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really think it's yet safe to. Hello, what's going on there? Ooh. Oh, there it is. Right. Carl Cox. Now, he played here in Sansar at the big festival, the Glastonbury sort of type festival they had here earlier in the year. Great guy. I've also seen him DJing and online, as his real self on a web camera. He does quite a few of those things too. Um, so, yeah, of course, he was with Fatboy Slim and a whole load of others at the Lost Horizon here, basically. Now, the people who put that together are putting several stages of superstar DJs, underground acts, and visual artists together. They're going to real life, aiming to recreate the festival experience in VR. The team will be replicating real life attractions from Shangri-La, which was the Glastonbury one, including the Gas Tower, Freedom and Shift stages, performers again, including Carl Cox, Fatboy Slim, also Cold Cuts, Ace Skills, Crafty Cuts, Jamie Jones, Alabama 3. Um, and there'll be a new stage called Nomad, which will feature drum and bass labels. Um, right, so when is the date? That's the old thing. All these pictures are, of course, of Sansar here. I presume they'll just bring, apart from the new stages, they will actually bring. Hang on. There's something wrong here. Oh, I've got the wrong link. This is actually about the one that's already happened. What is going on here?
Hmm.
Something is going on here, and I don't know what. Right. That maybe somebody's posted it and it's got relayed to my thing. Okay. Oh. No, that's October 5th. Never mind. I can't get past on that. It seems to have got cross-wired with an old post rather than a new post. But I do know that the people that put that on are actually working on new stuff. Right. Online events flourish in new digital worlds. Right. Safari for this one too, I think. Very quickly. There we are. October 15th. We're up to date at least. Right. We've dramatically shifted much of our physical experiences into new digital realms. How has our physical representation been impacted, and what are our avatars doing to enhance this? Right. Now, I love it when we hear these figures. Humans have been transitioning from physical reality surrounded by air to an entirely digital space for decades, but that transition was accelerated this year, connecting more people more often in ways we never imagined. And then it is now possible for over 4 billion people around the world. It's not.
A
I mean,
billion?
sure, 4 billion people can tune into a webcast, but there's no way, even with
Sharding?
sharding, yeah, that you're going to imagine that in basically an actual digital world. You know, they don't say virtual worlds, but I mean, you know, all the terminology is misused these days. Um, Thousands of performers hosting bigger concerts than ever before. Um, I guess if you just think of this as general, webcasting of, you can, anything you put online on video can be viewed by the entire world if they've got the equipment to tune in. Uh, they're looking back on Tomorrowland. This is the one where they say physical attendance went to 400,000 in 2019 to over a million digital attendees in 2020. Um, I'm trying to recall which this one is. Video unavailable. No wonder 400,000 people. No, a million people. Of course, it's unavailable. And then look at that one we saw all months ago. Travis Scott's thing within Fortnite. They're really playing up the numbers on lots of this stuff, which I for one just from what I know the technology behind this stuff, you know, it's not easy to believe the figures, should we say? You know, and how if you question them, how do you prove otherwise? Um, I've known virtual worlds, which sort of back in the days, Maria used to report with us. We would you'd have statistics, and they'd be claiming unique logins per month and things like that, and half the time it was just pure fiction. They could state the figures, but they couldn't back them up with hard, verifiable information. And it's great because a lot of bigger audience things and things as a result for COVID and lockdowns and things are coming online. But I think we need to be aware of the claims that some of these things are actually making as such. Anyway, this article, by the way, is that the people who make these avatars at the bottom here, Wolf 3D. The actual site I'm looking at here is called Ready Player Me. Ready ReadyPlayer and then .me. And they made some great avatars that you can use in a number of different worlds, and I think that's why they're sort of trying to push virtual events in general because they want you to get their avatar. And don't think they charge anything, to be honest. But once you've got it, you can use the same avatar in a load of different places. Not everywhere, I hasten to add. They tend to work in a sort of a number of modern platforms, for want of a better word, but they aren't really backwards compatible with stuff that's Second Lives, for example, or things that are actually rather older. Anyway, let's move on from that and move on to whatever we got here. Right, this was the other VR voicesofvr.com podcast of the week, number 953. This one's about a book. Well, it's an interview with somebody from the book, of course, the author, I think. Um, right, VRX is the name of the book, and it surveys virtual therapeutics as a whole new field of medicine. So, in a way, this is a bit of an epilogue to at least a couple of the articles I've had up today. Using VR for therapy, and this is an overview book. by this Brennan Spiegel guy, looking at virtual therapeutics in the I don't know, the worldview, should I say, as a new field of medicine. Says it all in the title, really. So yeah, interview with the guy. The FDA, by the way, are calling it medical XR. Oh look, oh no, there's three letters here though. MXR. Nah,
Okay,
one extra
medical.
digit. That
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
we are two digits.
Yep.
Naughty, naughty. Okay, well, I've got another one to stick on the end of the show for our never mind. Oh dear. So MR and XR together make MXR, but they don't. It's a different thing entirely.
Right.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anything to confuse us. Anyway, this quite interesting. Quite interesting. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm. It's too exhausting to post every Twitter feed, post to Twitter, every article I read about somebody's some place or other is using virtuality for this therapy, and somebody else is using it for that therapy, and somebody else somewhere else is using it for the same thing as the first therapy. Um, it's happening everywhere now. It's a good sign, but it's getting to the point where I'm no longer going to be tweeting half of these things because it's just more of the same. If you see what I mean, the fact it is mainstream now is enough. I don't need to follow every example as if they're innovating when in fact it's becoming much more commonplace and not really innovating anything. On the other hand, a book like this, an interview like this, are interesting because they do take that overview. You know, it proof positive in a way that virtual therapeutics, inverted commas, is now a field of medicine, a whole new field of medicine, if you believe that title. So anyway, moving on, voicesofvr.com to hear that interview, of course, and to read the short article that goes with it. All right, moving down the list here. Right, Forbes. So yeah, good old Forbes here. Can't go wrong with that, can we? Franchise brands are adjusting their convention plans to adapt to a virtual world. So, oh, that's not very helpful, is it? Naughty. It didn't load. Okay, try again, shall we? There we are. Right. So as I say, this is just Forbes.com, Forbes.com. There's a lot of stuff interesting during the week at Forbes these days. There's obviously Charlie Fink's regular podcast and articles and a couple of other roundup articles, but it seems that every day I'm coming across a link to something at Forbes. It really depends on the title and what it's covering, whether I actually post a link there, but it's a good site to keep an eye on if uh, for articles about VR, AR, everything else, but not necessarily about VR. Anyway, so franchise brands are adjusting to convention plans to adapt to a virtual world. It's nothing new, really. Here, I mean, ever since COVID hit and we've had lockdown, this is exactly what people have been doing. Um, there is a scale, I think, of filtering going on here in industry, commerce general. This is all about franchises and brandings, and if anything, they've probably just been slow to pick up on the fact that they need to do things a different way, and so now um, they're realizing that they've got to bring their conventions, online as virtual events, basically, if they're going to keep selling franchises to their products or whatever they are. Um, so it's another field that's having to move into virtual events, I guess. Um, Still cynical. In no way will virtual event be able to replace an in-person appeal of attending a franchise conference. I don't think attending a franchise conference is remotely appealing in the first place, but that's my thought, I suppose. But it doesn't mean these events can't be exciting. Oh gosh, golly, how do you make a franchise conference exciting? To further incentivize franchises to attend, franchises can send along a care package with branded notebooks, calendars, t-shirts, Franchisers should also feel excited about the event, and sending them gifts for attending helps them feel engaged, appreciated, and proud to represent their brand. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, if you want to read that, go to Forbes.com. It may not be the best article of the week, but there are some other good ones at Forbes for sure. Right, moving on. We're back on AR Post here, and yeah, no, it's a different one. It's a different one. And yeah, this is 4 days ago, basically. arpost.co, again, arpost.co, just co. This is about a headset manufacturer called IMI. And I know I did remember a bit about them, but sadly it's a case of no more here. Apparently um, they were announced, at least by this blog, in June. But apparently they've gone into, I guess this is American terminology, Article 9 foreclosure and auctioning their assets. Um, the only good thing about this, or I don't know whether it's good or bad or what chance they have, but presumably they have enough assets, and I presume that's intellectual property type stuff, for them to feel they are worth auctioning. So maybe some of their technology um, will appear elsewhere. Apparently, most of what they had already done so far was for the military. And oh yeah, they're based in Reno, Nevada. So they, well, you can make appointments. So if anybody out there watching this show wants to buy their assets, um, many of the details about how their headset was made and intended to work are available in two publicly available white papers. So yeah, this is, you can follow up a little bit on that. So I mean, if you basically want the details about their products or their assets for other purposes, so to speak, bearing in mind the company's not going to be around itself much longer, then coming to this article is at least a way of getting that some links to follow through um, to get further information about what their technology was and how it worked. And there's a nice little picture of one of their headsets. Again, a pleasant surprise. It doesn't look like an O. Um, it was kind of cute that. It's almost the point of being glasses. I'm assuming that that follows the curvature of an ear. So I'm gauging the size based on what I think an ear is.
Yeah. Yep.
I hope I'm not wrong. I think that's where the ear goes. You know, I quite like that set actually. I don't know how heavy they are, of course. Right. Okay, the future of education is here. Omniversity, the first university in VR. Well, don't you love it when people hype up? I suppose it depends on the extent, really. This is a post in Business Review, um, uh, in EU actually. So it's business BUSINESS dash REVIEW.eu. And I've heard a bit about this during the course of the week, retweets elsewhere and things. I often judge a few of these things. I notice a lot of people, you know, I notice articles that I've included in my Twitter feed of the week and maybe on this show. I'll see them when they pop up in other people's feeds next week.
Mm-hmm.
And but no, yeah, you know, okay, I can laugh and say, you know, I'm a tipster. That they wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for me. but more seriously, the number of retweets and coverage stuff like this gets, the more seriously I tend to take it. So there's a good, but you know, and mentions of omniversity have prevailed during this the week. So I think people are
Mm-hmm.
taking note of it. As for the first university in VO, it depends on how you take it. I mean, arguably, you know, Second Life, for example, is a university called Rockcliffe University. Now, they don't exist in the real world, although their curriculum is real world, if you see what I mean. Arguably, I mean, they've been around for how long is it, James? What, 10 years or something,
Mm.
probably?
Yeah, I think so.
And arguably, you know, I wouldn't, you know, it's never occurred to me. I've, you know, done some film work with them and stuff, but I did some interviews on them last year. But it's, I wouldn't. Um, I would never have taken the liberty of saying the first university in VR because, you know, how often do you announce something like that, having not done your research, and you suddenly find, oh, 100 things went before you? So I don't know. There may have been something even before Rockcliffe, but I mean, certainly, I don't think, I don't think what they're saying here is really very accurate. Now, what they may also be saying, of course, is they may be referring to VR as the headset thing. The hardware thing, the actual, the thing that's only available in a headset, and rather than the 2D thing on the screen. I don't necessarily make that distinction, but it does seem that VR these days, there was a time when VR Second Life or something that was only available on the screen would have been defined as VR by some people. It is now probably useless to try and say that's VR any more than it is to say Sansar here is, although there's a VR version, of course. Um, you know, um, I don't like to think that every time I see the expression VR, unless it's VR, we're talking about headset ubiquity. But increasingly, I think we maybe are. Um, Despite this claim, it is obviously a nice idea. It's created as a joint venture with artists, educators, and technologists to offer the long-awaited possibility for learners to study what, when, with, and whom they wish, achieving a balance between highly personalized learning and collaborative practices. Um, they do point out that universities are still maintaining high prices for something that is a dramatically less compelling product offering now. And I don't know about elsewhere, but here, the students in the UK here, where they went to college for the first time, they've spent an absolute fortune on their fees and everything, and they found themselves locked in their dormitories, not allowed to come out and attend their classes. They want their money back, understandably. Anyway, but yeah, anything that brings education online in an immersing, compelling way, um, I think it's a good thing. I know I've got a lot of Discord groups which are full of educators working in VR, and in many cases they their idea of VR is flat screen virtual worlds or virtual classrooms or virtual universities. So it's been forced on people really. Um, Even now, we don't know whether in another 2 months the kids will still be safe at school, let alone students who still can't get, they're still locked in their dorms. I mean, if it all falls apart, they're going to have to rely on virtual lessons and things, virtual curriculum. So the more the merrier, really. And even if time went back to a pre-COVID state, which it never will do, I'm sure. But even if it did, this has always been important too. It's education available online is. I've only, it doesn't quite. There is that digital divide of kids that can't afford the technology to get online. Though that is changing, and during COVID, a lot of bit of them have been given kit to enable them. But I've always thought of it as enabling. The quality of something that you might be able to view online, for example, technically is available to all, not just the elite universities, etc., etc. So democratization of learning, as it were. Although there are still, as I say, obstacles in terms of access to hardware and things like, and actually high-speed broadband for that matter. But in the long run, I think it's good to see all this stuff moving online, where of course it is safe. She's obviously having a fine time. Yeah, these beaming faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're educators or educatees, but fair enough. They're clearly enjoying themselves, aren't they?
Right.
And who am I to argue? Let's move down here. Right. AR post again by the look of it. Yes, there were quite a few earlier. There was one day earlier in the week where there were quite a few from the same place. Understanding layers of oppression through virtual reality. Now, this is kind of interesting. Um, VR has many fascinating applications. Over the years, it's proven to be an important tool in research. Experimental setups involve computer-based tests, um, and although the methods are valid, they are unable to mimic the complexity of real-world scenarios. But all that is, of course, changing. This is where VR comes in, enabling researchers to replicate true to life scenarios in safe, controlled environments, giving researchers limitless learning opportunities that weren't available years ago. I like the way that, but my links sort of seem to segue into each other this week.
Oh, okay.
It's totally unintentional. It's just the order in which they got posted and came out. But it's yeah, it's sort of kind of convenient linking,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yep.
Anyway, they're looking at it as a tool in research, and particularly this is education, of course, but how VR can help tackle inequalities and never judge a man until you walked a mile in his shoes, as the saying goes. Um, this woman Coburn and her team, they created true to life scenarios from the perspective of a black person, for example, and they used VR to illustrate how someone faces racism as a child and adolescence and even as an adult. So they're looking at that and also promotes critical consciousness. That's a nice way of putting it. Um, Apparently, critical consciousness is a superpower. Does that mean I'm a superhero or
Um,
something?
couldn't answer
I've got
that.
a super. I've
Sure.
got critical. Yeah, I've got critical consciousness.
Okay.
I've got superpowers.
All right.
God, I wish somebody had told me this when I was younger.
Right. You could have a
I
comic book.
yeah, I could have my own. Well, I'm already in my own comic book. It's got a second life. I sometimes joke, yes,
Yep.
right. Yeah, okay, well, that's nice. Critical consciousness is a superpower. Very good. The world would be better off if people started thinking critically and seeing society for what it is. To do that, we need to equip people with ways to explore and determine their beliefs. This means we need to teach people how to look beyond the things they've absorbed from media and society. And although difficult, it is not impossible. For the average person, understanding these interwoven oppressions isn't easy. However, that might change with VR.
We are.
Indeed, we are. Yes. Okay, okay. Moving on, moving on. All right. Good title, that. Layers of Oppression. If you follow my Twitter feed, you'll see every day there's maybe two of these things called the Malburns Daily. It's an aggregated site, and I can't get rid of it. I'm not too bothered. Several other people have them, and I do actually open theirs because there's sometimes quite good links in them. But it's robots doing their work, and sometimes you'll open it. That would look like a newspaper front page with 6 articles and 6 links on it. And if you're lucky, 2 out of 6 will be relevant. The others will, who knows where they found it from. Okay, just out of curiosity, though, in case you've come across those and been displeased with the result. All right, moving on here. Wired magazine. This one is. Um, oh, yeah, this one's Philip Rosedale tweeted this and put me onto it actually, and I've actually I think it's a great article. Many years ago, there's an artist called Cao Fei, a Chinese artist, in what the blazes has happened. Um, uh, Sorry, some other software just opened on top of the Metaworld. Never mind. I'll quit it. Okay. Cal Fei, her name was China Tracy. She was also known as, and I met her in. Well, it wasn't actually Hyde Park here in London. It's an area called Kensington Gardens, which is the western half of what people think is all Hyde Park. And there's a gallery there where she was exhibiting, and the exhibit title, it wasn't just hers, but the theme of all the exhibits was the new pavilions, was what it was called. And in China's case, she had a sort of city project and things like this, but basically one of the focuses of well, there were 2 focuses of the exhibit. One was architecturally in the real world, creating pavilion spaces, which have been very neglected by architecture of in many decades now. And the other one was actually saying, well, look, virtual reality, online social spaces are the equivalent of public pavilions, you know. And somewhere where you often found these public pavilions quite clearly was, well, this exhibit was at the Serpentine Gallery, which is in Hyde Park, and there'll be Kensington Gardens. But think of it, parks. Most cities have parks. Some of them forcibly level parts of the city to make parks, so that because the population needed those spaces. And they are very crucial things. And this post is actually talking about mending a broken internet by creating more what they call online parks. We need public spaces built in the spirit of Walt Whitman that allow us to gather, communicate, and share in something bigger than ourselves. And the article then comes up with a whole load of ideas. As I say, this is in Wired magazine, so it would have had a fair old bit of exposure. And yeah, some great thoughts there. I mean, there's no particular virtual world being discussed here, but when you think about it, there is, it's food for thought that immediately thinks, well, if we're going to do something like this, how do we start? Well, virtually, of course, be it small or a greater thing. It'd be nice if every city in the world had a kind of virtual space, that was a public park that everybody could meet in and just bump into fairly near neighbours when they're walking. Maybe they could walk their virtual dogs just like, and they could have a virtual poop scoop. Never mind, never mind. But you get the idea. bring parks
Right.
online.
Yep.
I think that's a great food for thought there. Definitely, I thought. Okay, right. Further down we go. Oh, now this is great. I mean, if you're talking about high-powered magazines, the Economist is probably top of the list. It's read by politicians, thought makers, everything. It's also very accessible, and for a thing that you would think was, I imagine quite a lot of, let's say, the political right with intellectual interests, I should say, as opposed to the other kind of political right, would probably read this, but they've never been political. Their articles just somehow have always managed to stay neutral, even though you imagine that most of the people reading this are actually very influential people by way of politics, business, etc. So interesting that they've October's issue, October 1st, was the publication day. Did a big article on Neil Stephenson. They describe him as Lord of the Metaverse, and of course, he actually is the author of in the late 80s, when he was a young author.
Hmm.
Weren't we all? He typed a novel. No, he typed some code on his Apple Macintosh or his Macintosh 2. Yeah, that was the built-in square box one. And a pair of spherical mirrors appeared on the screen hanging in space. To make them look more realistic, he used the code. The code he used calculated how light bounced off the objects in the frame, so each mirror featured on it a convincing reflection of the other. Right, well, this is forget Snow Crash, which is, of course, the novel that created the name the metaverse, if nothing else. It all started with a bit of code and mirrors.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
They've really gone into him here, and I think it's great. It's great. I actually follow a lot of authors like Stevenson and Neil Gaiman and oh God, a lot of the science fiction. Oh, can't remember. There are a lot of science fiction authors on Twitter, which I just follow privately to, because it's interesting. And yeah, well, it's interesting what they have to say. In particular, I'm a bit dubious about them at the moment. I almost, if I replied to Twitters more often, I'd probably be in a heated argument with Charles Stross right now.
Mm.
I obviously say he made a comment about Thatcher, and I made a comment back, and I don't know, he misinterpreted it completely,
Ooh.
and wrote me a long essay telling me what was how that wasn't the case, and basically he made some comment about Thatcher, the, being terrible and everything, which I agree with. Um, and but even it was a casual remark about even she looked pale compared with Boris,
Okay.
and I'm not so sure about that. I'm not. I think Boris is not the brightest of chaps, trying to do a good job in an impossible situation. Um, but we're reading the news media in the UK here and everything. It's become a bit of a joke that every time you tune into the news every 2 days, Boris Johnson's cabinet has done a U-turn. Oh, well, we're now going to have a serious lockdown there and a lower one there. No, no, we're having a big one there and a cut down a bit there. And no, 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 we'll scrap all that and we'll start this new thing. They can't make up their mind. It seems they're playing with ideas on the fly, right? And somebody, people make a joke about, turning again, And I remembered that there was one quote from Margaret Thatcher when she was Prime Minister, which was, the lady is not for turning. And she wasn't, she was very clear sighted. Nobody agreed with her. She's a nightmare. But you couldn't accuse her of turning and changing her mind.
Mm.
She wasn't. She was steadfast. She was like a high speed animated rock, smashing everything in front of her. Definitely not for turning. And of course, I made this comment to Charles about, I quoted it, and of course, instead of appreciating the fact I was making a joke, he had got a long essay back about, oh, but she was, and because. I thought, why right. It's all very interesting, all that, but what does this author have to do? What does his Twitter have to do with science fiction? Because it's just, uh, I'm unable to shut up, basically. Um, I shouldn't say all this on air anyway, but what the hell? Nobody's not going to. Right, okay. But anyway, back to um, Neil Stevenson. I've never thought of Neil Stevenson as particularly big sci-fi author. I mean, Snow Crash really was the thing with the metaverse, and I've read a couple of other novels by him that border on, computer games, immersive worlds, and stuff like that. I mean, um, in a popular sense, things like Ready Player One is kind of almost they're so much more simplistic, but they've almost superseded, um, the Snow Crash kind of vision. Um, but anyway, this is talk at where was this? Oh yeah, theeconomist.com. But although I haven't got it, I might well be online. They actually note at the bottom here that this article appeared in Technology Quarterly section of. Actually, it is of the printed edition of The Economist, under the headline "Lord of the Metaverse." So it's not actually easy. In fact, I don't think I've got a newsagent in walking distance of me here, so I don't know where I'd actually find a paper copy these days. But other than being a subscriber, but I should probably try and look for that if I can find it, because that obviously is just a short sort of look back at him. Let's move on. Let's move on. I get more distracted every week with this show, don't I? Okay, we got
Mm.
another headset here, and again, it is not an O one. Yep. Well, Fove has got an O in it, but it's not the same as the one that begins with O, if you see what I mean. The
Mhm.
one that shall remain nameless. Fove launches version 1 of its eye tracking headset, 2016, long before Vive Pro Eye or Vajro. Japanese startup Fove launched the first commercial eye tracking headset. Since then, the company, like many, has steered towards more commercial applications, especially in the medical industry, and they've now launched version 1 of software update. And which is, I guess, debug tool. It's a calibration by the look of it. Um, yeah, full of technical details here. 3 editions of the headset. Um, Basically, the things that make it different is the installed software rather than the actual hardware itself. Um, yeah, all the technical details there, really. along with the announcement. You can find this at the regular site. We go to vrfocus.com, so it's vrfocus.com. And I for a long while there were so many headsets and things coming out, especially back in the days of Google Cardboard, where everything was cardboard, not cardboard sort of thing. Um, just too many of them. But that kind of eased off. But now I am making a point of looking for announcements about headsets again, mostly because I want to satisfy myself that there are a large selection of headsets available that are multi-use and aren't owned by an unscrupulous company. I think is the best thing. So I'm keeping an eye on other headsets, shall we say? Right. Let's move on before I put my foot in it again. Science Daily. Right. Yeah, 5 days ago. Um, We've got two of. Oh no, that's further on down there. Right. New virtual reality software allows scientists to walk inside cells. We had a very similar. It's probably the same gist of a thing that we had on the previous week. Um, Basically, well, this is about a software called VLoom. That's a small V, then LUME in caps. Created at the University of Cambridge here. Um, and a 3D image analysis company called Loom VR. It allows super resolution microscopy data to be visualized and analyzed in virtual reality and can be used to study everything from individual proteins to entire cells. Um, One of the most fascinating pieces of VR I've originally watched, which was related to this actually, a friend of mine had a son who was in molecular science, and it was they weren't connected, but um, I remember watching something that actually was a virtual reality demonstration of traveling through molecules and seeing how they bound together and split apart and did their thing. It's always interesting. Like they're like little critters, fascinating to watch. Molecules, yes. But this is obviously to an end of a degree higher. We're not talking about markers anymore. We're talking about individual cells and being able to walk into them in VR and experience how they react, I guess, with other cells and how they split, I presume, because cells split, don't they? Yeah, fascinating stuff. Once again, it's sort of semi-medical news, although obviously in this case it's research side of things, and the University of Cambridge here in the UK too. So there's a couple of links at the bottom there, but if you want this article, just go to Science Daily, or one word there. So SCIENCEDAILY, and yeah, you'll get it there. And that was actually published 5 days ago, which would have been 13th of October, I guess, if I calculate right there. Right, AR Post again, 5 days ago. Rendeavor indeed. Did that? Oh, yes, it did. Sorry, there we are. Announcing the addition of Envision Home Solution to VR Experience platform. What a garbled headline! that that is a very garbled headline, in my opinion. It's not clear what they're talking about in many ways. They're announcing an addition of Envision Home Solution to VR Experience platform. Now, no, that just doesn't gel with me grammatically at all. Okay, Rendeavor has sought to improve the lives of those in elder care communities through VR experiences. With the help of Rendeavor, hundreds of thousands of residents of elder care facilities have spatially engaged with loved ones, relived personal memories, and explored new places. They've added stuff to their platform. I think it's the basis here. I can't get over that headline. It does not make grammatical sense to me. Is it just me, James, or does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's definitely a mind twister, that one.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Right. Thank you. I'm comforted that somebody agrees with me at least. Okay, a company's been around longer than coronavirus. Well,
Okay.
gosh golly. We're some more than a year old. Fair enough. And social isolation for the elderly is not a problem that will go away when stay-in-place orders lift, etc., etc. Um, okay. It seems like the CEO of Endeavour had a video interview with AR Post. Doesn't seem to be on this page, but it seems like they had one. Um, Talking about the evolution of the platform and okay. They had a partnership with the City of Boston, which allowed residents of senior care facilities to virtually attend the 2019 Patriots Super Bowl parade.
Hmm.
Well, I'm sure they enjoyed it. I can think of more serious things for them to do, but no more. Right, okay. Background detail here, really. Not much I can say that isn't said in there. Well, the headline's not very good at saying it either, but basically it's about bringing VR experiences to senior care and all the parts of it with a company called Rendeavour. And exactly what that means is anybody's guess. Moving on, moving on. Right, we've got to be getting near the end of this by now. Um, More medical. VR focus again. This is about the science of virtuality and how virtuality helps with memory retention. Um, what can you say, really? Um, Current interest in virtuality centers around how it might be a new format to better engage the brain in learning and how this medium impacts memory retention and how better to engage the interests of those viewing via VR. So, yeah, very specific here to do with memory. Um, I know this. I don't quite know. I know in Second Life and some early sort of things. There's. I kept reading articles about using virtual spaces as memory palaces. Was the phrase they used.
Hmm.
Um,
That's from
Thinking
Sherlock
it like,
Holmes.
yeah, I never quite fully, you know, a place to save memories or an environment that helps you record your own memories. They're two different things, if you see what I mean.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but it's very good. I mean, we'd all like encoding refers to the brain's natural process for converting information into a construct that will be stored in either short or long-term memory. A place called Boundless Psychology say it's like hitting save on a computer file. Your brain is constantly filtering, processing, and organizing information into these categories in order to store what's important in order to avoid overwhelming you with remembering every single piece of information. Where in simple terms, that is very much the case. I mean, I've read about this. It astonishes me how little our brains or our memory cells actually do remember. Um, it's it, if you imagine you've got a wonderfully detailed photograph and then you've got to put it on the web to actually compress it into a JPEG, and to get it down to size, you use the maximum compression. So a whole load of the detail is missing. Yeah, but our memories work in a way that is like it sees the lousy JPEG file and immediately re-renders it in full glorious resolution. And our minds have a very strange way of making sense of very microscopic fragments of information that we call our memories. It's almost like we squash every memory into a finite little bit of dust, and when we need it, it expands by looking at all the other bits of dust that connect with it. Fascinating business, and well, you all know what your head looks like and your brain looks like. It's Just pretty remarkable that what we think of as our memories are extensive and still all squashed into that space. Anyway, in order to do that, neural connections need to be strengthened through repetition and reinforced by targeting our senses like sight and sound. So it all works together. The main objective was whether participants can learn better in a virtual environment versus traditional platforms, even those like desktop computers or tablets. Um, the main focus is whether VR affects a person's recall ability. And researchers immersed, that's a good word, immersed
Hmm.
participants into a memory palace, there we go again, where people recall an object or item by placing it in an imaginary physical location. When presenting information in this format, researchers made use of spatial mnemonic encoding, which in layman's terms refers to the brain's ability to spatially organize thoughts and memories. Right, I'm not going to read all this out for obvious reasons. It goes on a bit. If you're interested in this stuff, then this is a very good summary, and it also links to boundless psychology and also the people who conducted this particular um, survey. But you find this at vrfocus.com, familiar site of course, vrfocus.com, and that is that. Right, and where do we start the week? Well, this week we're actually going to end the week on what was the start of the week,
Mm.
because it's that one weekly thing that you just can't miss. Yeah, it's the XR Wee Peak from Scar Ghost.
Mm.
I
Oh,
think there are a
okay, right.
couple of other. I think there are a couple of other posts from Scar Ghost this week, but for some reason they're not on my list here. This is the Wee Peak. Now this comes out every Monday, although I think it was Tuesday this week. I can't remember. Um, I found this funny because the headline thing was the dog. And it's the same photo I used on our show last Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I remember that dog. I do. Yes, dogs using AR. Anyway, yeah, his post is really a roundup of everything during the week. He talks about the Quest 2 being launched, which is something I don't talk about as a rule. Um, and game a lot of game developer stuff as well, but it's sort of relevant. And looks at NVIDIA, um, AWS, and Cloud XR, and US armies experimenting with dogs. Woof, woof. Right, blam, blam, woof, woof. LiDAR on iPhones and iPad can make scanning 3D objects a commodity. That's actually is probably the most significant thing I've found about in the iPhone, iPad new releases is this LiDAR technology, which uh, barely a year ago would have cost thousands of pounds on its own.
Mm.
And there was such an article somewhere, I don't quite remember where, on the process by which Apple were able to make it something affordable that they could put in the iPad and iPhone. Um, uh, yeah, a video got popular this week that shot the Scar Goose. What's his name? You can see a user pointing a LiDAR phoned iPad towards some objects, and in 2 seconds, it was able to reconstruct an exact clone of that same 3D object, fully meshed and textured. Um, you can imagine being able to create, using the camera on a LiDAR iPhone or iPad to create something so good that you could then import it as a mesh object into a virtual world. Um, it doesn't just record the image in front of it, it records all sorts of spatial information, and it also manages to record, I gather, spatial information that's actually out of sight. For example, if you're taking a picture of me, right, then it sees like a normal photograph would, but then the the waves, as it were, bounce back, right? And it can calculate exact distances and things depending on how long it takes to bounce back. All of which doesn't get in the way with actually taking the photograph or the scan. And based on information it can get first from the front and then from the stuff that's bouncing back, it can intelligently see what is maybe on my back, even though there's no camera view of my back. Presumably it wouldn't. Presumably it can't see, say, a graphic on the back of my jacket, but it can extrapolate the view of the back of my jacket without, any extraneous detail. So it's all rather fascinating stuff that's actually a bit, a bit hard to believe. But I mean, there again, the first iPad, I looked at it and, well, it was a version 2 I got, It took me about a year to decide that this thing hadn't fallen out of the sky in a science fiction movie.
Hmm.
I actually had the thing, And yeah, of course, it's all part of the course now. But I guess occasionally these things happen. You think, God, what movie did this fall out of?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so a bit of Apple innovation there by the sound of it. But obviously, this is God Goes Roundup. It includes Zapbox. They're talking about quite a whole load of stuff that he covers every week. Now, bear in mind this came out on Monday. So if you follow it, you need to go to scardghost.com. That's SKARREDGHOST.com, and it's published on 12th of October. Bear in mind that all these are highlights of the week before the one I've been talking about here on this show, because this came out on Monday and it was literally a resume of the week before. But an excellent source every week on Monday for anything you might have missed. And they're usually quite long posts, but they really don't take you that long to scroll down them and find anything of interest. So definitely worth checking out that one. Right. And I'm just scrolling down a little bit further just in case something has happened, like another post that came before that one. I don't think. I think that's the first post of the week. Whoa, what's all that about? Oh, that's his patron people. That's my daily thing. More coronavirus. Keybase. Forbes. Oh, right. Forbes 6 days ago. Looks like there's another Forbes article here. Volumetric video can help train and upskill the workforce. Right, this volumetric video is a thing that Google have been going on about a lot, but well, it's a trending sort of thing, really. Um, it's basic. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's really a form of virtual video. Um, it's not like VR video, which is like 360 video, although it could be a 360 video with avenues leading off it. Um, but it's also video scanning, as it were. And this article really is looking at how it can train and upskill workforces and things. And again, it's something you could learn and do. Well, I say at home. Obviously, that guy is not sitting at home. He's sitting in a lab or something. But in principle, all this stuff is delivered virtually. It's stuff that people can, with a bit of work, access at home and do all their work from home. Democratized learning, etc. Okay, fairly long thing there. This is another post of Forbes. So FORBES.com, and Kathy Hackey's article there. And oh gosh golly, what can that be? That's indeed the embed code for last week's show. So
Looks familiar.
we are all kind of done there now. So I'm just going to go down here to something called Tweetfill. And I'm going to switch to Metaworld News' feed. And yeah, there we are. Okay. Oh, it obviously hasn't marked them as red, so here we go. Right, Stellar X, unleash your creativity on an infinite canvas. Software for creating collaborative spaces, rich simulations, visualize the world around you like never before, and believe it or not, without code. Not sure how they do that, but without code. See, there's a codeless bloke.
Yep.
A headset.
Yep.
Yeah.
He looks
You need a
codeless.
headset.
Right.
You need a headset, but you don't need code. You don't need a head either. Oh, hang on, that doesn't figure. Right.
How about arms?
Yeah. I think you need the arms.
Okay.
Not sure about the legs. You know what these places are like. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're inhabited by legless people. I mean, who would trust the environment where everybody's legless? You know, come on. There's alcohol and there's alcohol, but being legless is not ideal. That joke is really running its course, isn't it?
Mm.
Right. Um, oh, okay. That's a link to their actual website as opposed to the one we were reading just now. You can get a 3D trial for 30 days of that software. Down to earth technology, always accessible, etc., etc., etc. There. Um, right. Uh, close that one. And no, I want this, don't I? Oh no, wait. I can more clicks, but easier to use. Now, way back in the day when Maria Koroloff used to co-host this show, you know, she gave us a roundup from Hypergood Business. We actually we interviewed a very nice bloke once called Alex Pomposelli. Very nice bloke, but he
Mm-hmm.
really he's an owner of a proprietor, whatever, something called Abbey Worlds, and you know, we always joked about it as being the yo-yo grid, right? Well, I can tell you this. Um, 4 days ago, Maria posted the news that Bumper Seller has shut down Virtualville, which of course is the latest incarnation of um, Abbey Worlds,
Mm-hmm.
their new grid, Virtual. And yeah, yeah, apparently he sold Abbey Worlds itself to somebody else and then promptly created Virtualville with the money he sold it with. I don't know how it all works. Um, anyway, the news was that he had shut down Virtualville, um, you know, after it's barely started. What I'm not showing you is the news item from the next day when he says he restarted it.
Okay.
And I just thought, the return of the yo-yo. You know, I was hanging on, thinking that by today he might have closed it down again, and then tomorrow might be Monday he'd start it up again. You know, but basically it's doing the yo-yo thing all over again. So anyway, these links, by the way, are at twitter.com/metaworldnews. This particular link is at hyperbiz
Mm.
hyperbusiness hypergridbusiness.com, which
That'll
you're
work.
about to see.
Yep.
You're going to get it in a second. Yeah. Just realised, I don't know why that was doing that, but nevertheless, it was, wasn't it? Right. Yeah. So there you are, a picture of it and everything else. And the URL is hypergridbusiness.com. Search hypergridbusiness.com. You'd think I'd know that by now, but I'll let you into a little secret. If I had tried to spell that out for you without having changed the page and put it up for myself, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
That'd be tough.
I can read it out. It can be as long as it needs to be. I can just about code. But if you ask me to conjure up the spelling out of my head, it doesn't work. Even though I can technically see it in my mind, it's called losing your faculties. I think I mentioned that earlier, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
losing all our faculties. Right. Austin Tate's blog here. Um, has he's a sort of developer doing things. MeWe is a social site, a bit like a sort of Facebooky sort of thing for um, diaspora things, and particularly people who are on Google Plus for the metaverse tended to move there. Um, oh, that's not very helpful, is it? Hopefully this will work. It was a tweet basically, and the tweet then led to a link that maybe isn't working. Oh, there it is. Right, here we are. Um, Route to mesh clothing in OpenSim. Basically, OpenSim is the open source. It's better. You can think of it as the open source version of Second Life. It's a different code, It works slightly differently, but it uses the same viewers as a rule, at least in their basic form. And Roost 2 is a low poly open source mesh avatar, which does actually work in Second Life, but it was designed for Open Simulator. And it's now up to Roost 2 version 4. And there's a link to another of his blog posts there. And also a Hypergrid L to OS Grid. And there's a region called Ruth and Roth, which is where you can pick up these. I don't think they're all no charge basically. And Ruth and Roth, but also Tana Wells's Place and Fire and Ice Grid, basically various different grids and things where you can actually get the avatars and animation overriders to go with them and everything. It's a sort of basically the Ruth 2 avatars come with their own almost with their own kind of ecosystem. In other words, there's things that attachments and things that work with them that don't really have any function with other types of more traditional avatar. So it's quite a little cult of things. And as I said, there's a MeWe group just dedicated to Roost 2. I think it's called. Anyway, moving back to the lands. I get ready for virtual Halloween now with Mozilla Hubs. Okay. I think this isn't Mozilla's normal hubs. It's a site called the Firefox Frontier. Oh no, actually it's not. It is actually still at blogmozilla.org. So blog.mozilla.org. Okay, and basically you can hold a Halloween party in hubs.
Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to your virtual Halloween party. Let me show you around. Here you can be whatever you like. A pirate, a pumpkin, or a bird. You can draw on the walls, and nobody gets upset. You can watch a movie with friends, or you can go trick-or-treating. And you get to decide where you want to be, whether it's here, or here, or here. So let me show you how to get started. Just go to hubs.mozilla.com on your computer, tablet, phone, or VR headset. Choose a scene for your Halloween party. Create a link to share with your friends, and then they can join your private room. And now for the fun part. Choose your avatar. You can change it as many times as you want. Decorate your space. Fill the room with your favorite videos, GIFs, or whatever you find online. Hubs is limitless and completely customizable. Take a selfie, or just run around and explore with your friends. It's free, so go have fun. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Oh, there you go. That was an ad cute. I say you could choose an avatar and be anything you want, so long as you don't mind being legless. But actually, I did just notice. I did notice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
One had legs.
Yep. Oh, okay. All right.
So maybe the state of leglessness is not an absolute.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Limitless. I don't know about limitless in hubs, but easy to get to. Easy to get to. That's great.
That video actually showed you quite a few things, but in fact, the whole blog here, as you can see, tells you a whole lot more. I mean, if you are unsure what to do or how to go about hubs, which is, remember, this is Mozilla's. These are virtual rooms, virtual spaces, basically, that actually on the web. You don't have to download any special clients or stuff. It's it works with Firefox. It works with any of the Chrome variants, which even includes Microsoft's thing these days. And it works on Opera. I know that. So I don't think really there is there's any major web browser that it doesn't work with these days. I know with some of the 3D worlds on the web, they only work with Chrome or stuff, but Hubs seems to work with everything by and large. So
it even works with the O. It works with the O, Mal.
Oh, it works in an O. Yeah,
it works in an O.
So you can view it in orbit. So you can orbit around it. Oh God, sorry, I should shut up. Right. Oh yeah, that's it, and it tells you that, and on the thing there.
Yep.
Also published that article apparently is published on Medium too, but there's no reason to go there. Right, tweet spillings. A walkthrough of something called Hand VR. I'm
Oh, that's fun. It's hard though.
yeah, yeah, I'm actually going to launch this if I can straight into. Oh, oh well. I thought it was going to be a bit bigger.
The young girl was known as Flit to
Oh, there
some
we are.
and Flutter to others. Today she had discovered, on her explorations, a long sought-after treasure, which she now had safely packed within her suitcase to bring home. On her way back, she stopped by the mother mannequin, as she so often did. The mannequin still stood within the broken shop window, her clothes long rotted away to the wind and the rain.
Right, well, that video, believe it or not, Hand VR walkthrough, is 50 minutes long, and I gather it will actually take you through the whole experience, which you might need because, correct me if I'm wrong, James, but I think this is a headset job, isn't it?
Well, if it was what I was thinking about, but it may not be what I was thinking of.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll have to verify. I was thinking of a VR app that you use, hand simulator. That's what I was thinking of. So this might be
Oh,
different.
no, no,
Yep.
this is a. Right, well, you can see a sort of version of this in Second Life. But the one being filmed here is actually here where we are today in Sansar.
Ah.
And the author is a lady called Bryn O. She's from Wales, I think. She's very well known in Second Life's arts community. I mean, just uh, not a new exhibit every week like certain artists I won't mention, but sort of widely acclaimed and look forward to things that she does. Hand VR is a virtual space here in Sansar, and it was built for York University, which would be the UK York University. I'm pretty sure if it's I love some of the comments here. So this is amazing. I thought it was in VR chat.
Oh. Okay.
And yeah, if it had been in VR chat, it would be me that would be saying it's amazing. If that, but it's actually here in Sansar, so it's nice and very rich. The video, as I say, walks through it and has her narrative. So it becomes a thing in itself. It's not somebody else doing a walkthrough. It's actually her filming her own walkthrough
Mm.
of her own work. Um, it's a very, very nice video to watch. I'd say the fidelity of what you see in the video here is probably not on a par with the fidelity of what you actually see in Sansar, which I think is probably more sort of. Yeah, it's almost like it didn't pick up bits of it didn't pick up its full glory on video,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
uh, my thoughts anyway. So real plug for this Sansar wise this week, and a great video to watch too. So to find that, you want to go to YouTube and you want to look at this is how you spell her name, Bryn O. You need to look up her and you can subscribe to her, of course, or you can just go to her homepage and this would be the most recently uploaded video she has there. It was uploaded 7th of October, so this isn't quite on posted on the day of upload, but yeah, very recent anyway. So I shall leave you with that one. I'm moving on. Right, Vicadia here. Um, okay, I'm not going to click any further here. Basically, probably do. I need to get the yeah. Unless I click, I can't give you the read out the URL. Win or lose, win or lose. I think it's just vicadia.com to be honest. There we are. Um, yeah. This week in Vicadia, the new metaverse, new release, and a new hub. Vicadia is one of two sort of virtual world platforms that is modeled and developed from the high fidelity virtual world platform that Philip Rosedale started. High Fidelity itself, of course, is well, it's still around, but it's now an audio, a spatial audio experiment. Right, I'll put that one. Let's get that one away, and that. Oh, right, no, actually, huh? I've got a horrible feeling that I've missed something here. It may be. Oh, right. No, unread only. Maybe that's it. I thought there were, I thought there was some more posts in Metaworld News. Possibly there are, but I can't see them in this section. Okay, so with that out of the way, um, I'm just moving us to a couple of the other videos of the week. These aren't featured in any of our Twitter things, though you can see them listed on our the Metaworld's Discord channel. There is a section with these listed in them. And where were we? Friday, 9th of October. What was today? No, oh, right. Saturday 10th was last week, wasn't it? Sunday 11th was last week's show. That's right. On Tuesday, we had a new edition of Deep Down Divers, which is a regular sort of interview show these days. And sorry, here we go. Get there in the end. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Yes, you guessed it right. We are again shooting another episode of Deep Down Divers VR show, and today I have with me an absolutely cool guy whose name is, we just figured out, Udi Bertheimer, and I pronounced it correctly. So yes. Welcome everyone to the show, and
Right. Well, Udi Wertheimer, I believe, he's the CEO from something called Reckless VR, and it's basically an interview with him. It's actually he does appear in there as an avatar, so it becomes a kind of avatar talk show. The last couple of weeks of Deep Down Divers have actually been kind of one avatar and a Zoom call. But yeah, Udi is described as a self-described adversarial thinker, troll, founder of VR meetups at Reckless VR, and a blockchain developer. So there ensues, believe it or not, it's actually a 2-hour show. So you really, you'll be indulging yourself really. It's all perfectly intelligent and interesting, but it's a long show. So 2 hours is a long time.
I can't believe people do a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, this one I've never watched a whole one of that length. I mean, I think, well, we've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it.
That was my point, Mal.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, if people are interested, they'll actually watch very long shows. But but other people really do like it short and sharp. And I know how difficult, of course, it is from our point of view to edit.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to have a long show and then say clip a 15-minute segment out of it and publish that separately. But it's very hard to do it the other way around, which is to get lots of segments and squash them together to make something that's a long show but not that long. It's so. Anyway, yes. So that was, as I said, Deep Down Divers. That one. Right. Well, I'm not entirely sure how long. Oops. How long our next one here is, but I know that it's one that you, James, will normally be willing to watch all the way through, because it's Upload VR, and their show is called the VR Download, and it's the system I'm using here is taking a while to load
taking a little bit.
It's actually in Safari, which is rather odd. It's the same browser I was using for our other stuff. Okay, let me do this. Here at YouTube, basically, we have Upload VR. That's the account. That's how it's spelled. Upload normally, and then VR caps. You can join it when it's live or subscribe otherwise, and you can get playbacks. Um, it's almost like it's vanished into thin air for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just reloaded it, and I can't get playback from this, which is very, very strange. Okay, well, all you need to know here is to go to YouTube and look up upload VR. I'm just gonna close some of these other tabs in case, just in case that's what's causing it. Oh, I've got a lot open, haven't I?
I actually haven't watched that episode myself. I've had a
Uh,
busy week with family, so I'm going to have some catching up to do.
um, as I recall, I haven't myself either. I mean, I think I have when I went to get it, but certainly haven't watched the whole thing all the way through. I'm a bit fussy that way, you know. If I haven't really got captivated with a video after maybe 5 or 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to phase out a bit with it. Um, not quite sure why. Let's put that away and out of the way. So we've got nothing. And whereas it's something if people begin to sound interesting, pretty quickly,
Ah, yep.
then I'll quite often stick with it for ages. Yeah, as we said, we don't know. I'm going to reload that page one more time, but I've got a feeling that maybe YouTube are not doing much with it. Let me try. Um, Week in Excel podcast, however. Let's um, let's have a go with this one and see if this one knows. Oh, this one's fine. I think there's a problem with YouTube on the other one.
Okay.
This is Charlie Fink's weekly show called the Week in XR, and
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, October 16th.
2 days ago.
Charlie Fink here with This Week in XR. My partner in crime, Ted Chilowitz, futurist at Paramount Pictures, and with us this week as our guest co-host, Amy LeMayer of the WXR Fund, which is a venture capital firm that focuses on women-led business in XR. Amy, welcome, and thanks for making time for us this morning.
You're glad to be here.
So once again, I don't have 30 minutes to give you the whole podcast there, but it's another very interesting one. That was 16th of October, so yeah, that is the most recent one. That gets published every Friday, and of course Charlie Fink there is also one of the writers for Forbes as well. A lot of the VR XR type stuff at Forbes is written by him. If you want to find it, you need to go to YouTube, and it's This Week in XR podcast. That's the name of the account you want, and of course you can subscribe like you can anywhere. And why am I not? Oh, wrong browser. No wonder I'm not subscribed. Right, so there you can see it. I think on screen. Let me just move that up in case.
Yep.
This Week in XR in capitals and podcast. There's a space between all the words there. We should be forever blessed that YouTube have not heard of squashing. Accounts at YouTube remain unsquashed. Now, if only my accounts elsewhere remained unsquashed, I wouldn't have to make such a point about it at the beginning of the show. But sadly, Twitter, like many websites, specializes in the art of squashing. How many steps is it between squashing and censorship? I wonder. I wonder.
That's too philosophical for me.
It's too philosophical for me too, but it sounds nicely philosophical,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sounds philosophical, definitely. Right. Let me see. I've got another blasted thing here, which another YouTube, which is untitled, which is not very helpful. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, it's got Okay, sorry about that. It got posted twice at my end. And yeah. So the other pages were, for some reason, exactly why Upload VR's show for this week is maybe it's been taken down for editing. I noticed here there's one of the remarks 3 days ago. The delay is terrible. The code discussion was a constant annoyance in the video.
Oh,
Um,
technical
no, the other
problems.
people. Well, no, yeah. It may be they've taken it. Stop interrupting people when they are talking. It's totally rude and it impedes on the conversation. You did this incessantly and not just on the code gifting issue. Just wait till someone finishes their point to start talking.
Oh,
Kyle and Ian were impressively lenient in not telling you to be courteous and have etiquette. Maybe they read the comments and
well,
decided
right,
we'll
right.
just. Okay, I can't explain that. It has definitely been there. Um, Not only because I have the link up, but it is one I did watch at the beginning. I didn't watch it all the way through simply because I decided that the subject was going in a direction that wasn't particularly captivating. There was nothing, however, that I remember at the beginning anyway, wrong with the actual stream. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe it will be fixed and reappear at some point, or maybe they said a rude word or something and YouTube censored them.
No, yeah, maybe.
Hey YouTube, will you censor me if I say and so a whole range of expletives there.
Yeah. Yep.
Mind you, it does say that this show is adults only. So all you kids out there watching it, stop being naughty. I know some of this stuff probably interests you too, but you're being naughty.
Not for children.
Yeah, not for children. This is for sure. Right. Okay. Well, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay,
Get me
that's.
out of here.
Oh, all
That's
right.
yeah. I got to think there's some more stuff in Metaworld News than we got here. There's always a load of stuff in the Malbones writer feed, which is Second Life. So having three feeds, as well as the stuff I'm posting into Slack and Discord, is
Yeah.
doesn't confuse me, but it can be confusing when you're trying to aggregate them all on one show on the same in the same spot, so to speak. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about it for this week. There was some lot of lovely films and photography in the Malbones writer feed from Second Life and stuff. Really nicely filmed destinations and things, and surprisingly, not all of them were Halloween.
Oh, okay.
But you can check that out if you want to. But we'll go stick to the greater metaverse here, the open source stuff really, and the hardware. So, any thoughts on any of all that, James? Anything that really struck you in the big hoo
Um,
ha?
you know, I have some news that probably won't be meet with your approval,
Oh,
but I did receive a an O device here in my home last week.
oh!
And you know, it started up.
Well,
It's
I knew you were getting one
oh,
anyway. I
okay,
mean,
all
it's
right, all
not
right.
that.
It started
You
up
went
just
missed.
fine. I was able to log in without any problems. So, you know, I did hear the stories, but
Did you? I don't think it's a problem for anybody who's got a Facebook account
mm-hmm,
and stuff already. I think the problem is for people who've bought this headset
right.
thinking that, they can strap it on and visit, load applications and visit places. And they have not realized, they've been sold a headset. They're not being sold, like most things, it might come with a guarantee or various stipulations, but you don't buy a product that says sort of use of this product requires you're permanently online and registered with a corporation. That's not the way, even Google, Apple, all those don't work that way. I mean, you can't go to the App Store, admittedly, unless you have an Apple account and you need a Google account to go to their Play Store and stuff. But it's not like you can't load applications or do anything without logging into Google or Apple. They're independent in that sense. Um, but basically, this headset, you can charge it and turn it on and everything else like that, but it's not going to do anything for you unless it connects to Facebook and Facebook know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, if you're a new user and have never had a Facebook account, the process by which the headset tries to connect you just is dead. It's not working properly. And also people, some people actually buy an headset, they don't even expect this stuff to be going on. Um, it's like buying a Windows laptop from a computer store or something. When you buy it and open it, it just works. You've got an OEM registered version. You don't. People are not even aware that they need a Microsoft login. Well, in fact, I don't think they do need a Microsoft login yet. You can get away with just your own name. Um, yeah. I mean, it's just another example of all the stuff that was wrong about it. Um, the fact that somebody who has never heard of Facebook, unlikely, but and certainly hasn't read anything about it or the controversy. All they know is there's a new version of the leading headset. Let's put it that way, right? Not that I agree, but they hear that the Oculus is the new, yeah, is the headset to get, and they hear that there's a new version out and that they can order it now. Last week was the launch, and apparently it's been arriving really quickly on
Mm-hmm.
people's
Mm-hmm.
doorsteps, which
Yep.
is a good sign in terms of shipping. But if they've never heard of Facebook, it's arguable. They're going to get a shock. We were forewarned about the shock because we read all that news and we're interested in what it means, and for better or worse, or even worse. But so many, a percentage of people, but it will be their first headset, and they'll be looking forward to it. It's running up now to shops are beginning to sell for Christmas as well. I wonder how many people have been bought by adults and put on the shelf and won't actually get unwrapped at Christmas. And then everybody's Christmas, all the kids with their new Oculus will have Christmas Day ruined because they won't be able to work it. You know, I mean, I don't know how it's all panning out, but it really does seem to be a problem for people who don't understand or aren't on Facebook.
Yeah, I recognize
Um,
there are a lot of people who are very angry about it, but that said, it's quite lovely. It's very lightweight. The screen is really beautiful, so I'm looking forward to plenty of hours of the reality that is virtual.
yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, I'm not writing off that I won't get one. I mean, especially when the missed version comes out for it. Um, but I know the faults with me and headsets do not agree very much.
Right. Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me even if I got one that I would find myself a bit like the
Sure,
Oculus
sure.
Go. But the Oculus Goes and the Go stuff doesn't even work on the new Oculus.
Right.
There's
Correct.
um, but I haven't put that Go. There's quite a lot of interesting things in that Go thing when I first got it, and I put it on for 10 minutes and you know took a paracetamol and then waited an hour and tried it again.
All right. So,
And then I wasn't disappointed with some of the stuff, although a lot of the vertical stuff made me dizzy. The way you were on floors that were very high up above the what seemed to be the real ground. That
mm-hmm.
that got me very,
Sure.
very because I get like in real life I would get vertigo. So um, yeah,
Yep.
but it doesn't hurt to have the thing. They don't cost that much.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose I could do 10 minutes of Mr. Day in
Right.
VR.
Right. Well,
And
in other
yeah.
news, I've got another T-shirt today, and this one is
Yeah.
yeah. I couldn't get
I
an
haven't even looked over
animation.
here.
Couldn't get an animation
Oh,
today, but
you
this is
don't
from
need an
it's called
animation.
Tina's
Yeah.
store, and
Oh, that's nice. It's a manga.
yeah, it's
Sort of.
Goku from Dragon Ball. But what I like about it is
Ah,
I
I don't
love the
know.
reflective ink on here. I don't know if you can see the highlighting, but it's very nice.
Quite easily.
Like
I
it's
think now
a
I'm
like
just
it's a
getting.
vinyl applique on the shirt. So thanks, Tina. And it was free.
Right, I can it to me it looks like a silk screeny sort of thing on a
Hmm.
textured shirt,
Right.
but yeah, I can't really. It's very hard to zoom in very further than X amount.
Yeah.
I can't get you.
Yep.
But
Well, and be
yeah.
careful. You
Ah,
might
nice.
you might end up standing up. So if you do too much in Sansar.
This is true. Yes, as
Yeah.
long as I
Yeah.
got the right mouse button clicked, I don't think can stand if I
Right.
try.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we can round up this
Okay.
now.
Sounds good.
I've got I'm watching ourselves on. God, 2 hours 10 minutes on the other monitor.
Yep.
Just goes to Joe. It does say excellent connection there, so there we
Good.
go.
Good. I'm
But it would
always
be at
always
my end,
about
yeah.
that. Yep.
Playbacks 5, concurrent users 2, average watch time 49 minutes. Come on, the two of us have been here for 2 hours. Wait a minute. Maybe it's overall stats or something. Right, okay. Well, is there wanting to say? Hope you've got something out of all this news we've been firing at
Oh,
you
that
for
was
the
it.
last.
That was it. The reporting on the Quest 2 was enough for me.
Yeah. Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I keep forgetting, it seems old news now, but of course I do. I remember at the beginning of the week, reading about the deliveries, basically.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yep.
it's arrived, and then somebody else tweeted, "Hey, mine's arrived
Right.
too," and
Right.
somebody else tweets, "Hey, mine's not here yet,"
Yep.
and then the next day, "Oh, scam." Yeah, the Twitterverse, eh?
Yep.
Um, right. Well, I reckon until next week, it's goodbye from him.
Ah. And until next week, it's goodbye from him.
So it's goodbye from both of us, and never let it be forgotten that there is VR, there's XR, there's MR. This week we found MXR, and there's others that I've already forgotten. But it doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is that
We
we are.
are.
Yes, we
Are.
are. Right, okay. Have a good week, everybody. Stay safe and all the rest of it. I'm sure you won't get too bored with all these wonderful virtual experiences online for you. So just have a good one, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.